Thank you for joining us. On November the 4th, voters will have an opportunity to begin dismantling the cradle to prison pipeline that places more emphasis on the criminal than on justice in our criminal justice system. And so we're here on this day, well in advance of the election, to encourage people first to get out and vote on November the 4th. And we urge you to vote yes on Proposition 47. If we vote yes on Proposition 47, uh, I'm telling you that we will redirect hundreds of millions of dollars currently being spent on warehousing nonviolent offenders in our prisons and fund public education, will fund drug treatment and mental health programs. That's what we wish to do. Proposition 47 enhances public safety and strengthens communities by providing the resources our neighborhoods, our schools, and our families need to keep our young people out of jail. Somebody say out of jail. We want to rehabilitate non-serious offenders and give them a second chance. Somebody say second chance. By charging petty, nonviolent crimes as misdemeanors rather than felonies. Now, let me just say this. All of us went to school and at least made it through civics courses, government classes. And one of the hallmarks of democracy is this, that the punishment ought to fit the crime. And that's why we talk about misdemeanors rather than felonies for petty, nonviolent crimes. To do otherwise is to engage in making circumstances much worse than they ought to be. We can send a clear message to lawmakers and public officials. Let's put a stop to mass incarceration that disproportionately disadvantages people of color. That's what we need to do, and we need to do it with some urgency. And too often, we allow people to be consigned to circumstances that only lead to despair and hopelessness. And we're tired of that. And that's why we say yes on Proposition 47. And so with our yes vote on 47, we can alter the terms of the debate about justice and public safety in California. And we can do that by stepping up on November the 4th. That's why we are here today. All of those of us who are here, clergy, laity, labor, those who are representing the advocacy communities, for those who are reentering, we are here, elected officials, to say in no uncertain terms, yes on 47. May I then ask the following individuals to lend their voice to this plea. I'm going to ask now our host pastor, the Reverend Edgar Boyd, if he would come forward. Been a stalwart for a long time on issues of consequence. Please welcome Pastor Edgar Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and those of us who are here today. As we stand to look at and visualize in our own minds and our own sights and visions what happens in the black and the brown communities across the state of California and indeed across this country that we live in. Disproportionately, we are represented in much higher numbers and percentages in the incarceration and justice systems than we are in the neighborhoods and communities and population across the state. What Proposition 47 does, it helps us to understand that there's a call and demand for all of us who are accountable, all of us who are in places that make a difference and can impact this whole system and this whole reality in a different way. To look, number one, at practical ways of changing the cradle to the prison population, a pipeline that we have now. And also to understand that we have a moral and an ethical right and responsibility to make sure that we prescribe the best solution for the problem and not just put a Band-Aid on the matter. Until you look at the real sources that feed into this pipeline from the cradle to the grave, cradle to the prison, you may not fully understand what it takes to dismantle it and put it back in place. All of the crimes that are being now looked at as felonies, some of them ought to be misdemeanors.
Right.
Because when you begin to look at why a person does what a person does, is it really a felony to charge a woman for stealing a pack of Pampers for her baby just to keep the baby safe and healthy? Does that make sense? Does it make sense for us to find some young person who has been involved in a low-level usage of substance or a drug that we may have now on the books is illegal, to pin them as being a felon? It does not make sense. We are disproportionately decimating the community of the black and brown ethnic and cultural groups in the state as well as across the country. So we want to applaud the lawmakers and applaud those who hold this matter as being a sacred and a reasonable step to changing things and bringing about an opportunity for our young people, black and brown, and for other ethnicities too, to continue to participate. Now, when you look at moving the dollars away from the justice system, away from the pipeline that leads into prison, and putting them back in education, you will then stop the necessity for the movement toward the prison and the justice system. So it makes all the sense in the world. 750 million dollars, up to $1.25 billion being spent on this and saved for education. It makes all of the sense in the world. Let's wake up and be sensible. Let's move in a pragmatic way. Let's move in a way of humane, a way of moral decency for these communities and help make things better. All of us are responsible, and we're required to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you, Pastor Boyd. Give him a round of applause, won't you? Somebody say yes on 47.
Yes, on 47.
Why don't we bring to the microphone the person who called it to my attention initially and said you need to do something and earn your keep, Mr. Supervisor. Welcome the lead person, the founder, originator of A New Way of Life, the one and only Susan Burton. Come on over here and show us what you got, Susan.
So I'm pleased today to be here to say yes on 47. Proposition 47 is smart justice. Proposition 47 is a mechanism that will actually allow restoration of our communities. You know, I look at the prison industrial complex. I look at the enormous pull it's had on our community members. And I say, Proposition 47 is a bite out of that hamburger, that huge mechanism that is incarcerating so many of our community members. So I'm with ending the cradle to prison pipeline. I'm with restoring rehabilitation programs, restoring our schools, restoring victim services, and when we can take $250 million a year out of that system into our communities, we're going to be a lot better. So I want to say yes. Yes on Proposition 47, November 4th. Go out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have elected officials here who are stand up on the matter of making sure that we shift the resources from the prison system in an appropriate way to the education system. They are the Honorable Curran D. Price, council member for the new 9th District. Welcome him, and to be followed by Reginald Jones Sawyer, Assemblyman for this district, and we welcome them both to be heard at this time. Give them a big round of applause, won't you?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, to Pastor Boyd, to Susan, to you, Supervisor. I'm just honored to stand in solidarity with other community members in support of Yes on 47. We have an incarceration crisis in the state, one that disproportionately impacts communities of color like the one that I represent. It's criminal that while we spend $8,500 to educate our state's children, we spend almost $50,000 a year to incarcerate someone. That's the new math that we don't need, huh? $8,500 to educate, $50,000 to incarcerate. That's why I introduced a resolution in the City Council to support Prop 47, the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. And I was pleased that my colleagues, at least the majority on the council, saw the wisdom. It was passed, and we certainly indicated our support for the importance of this measure as it impacts not just our community, but really citywide. As we know, Prop 47 is going to change 6 of the lowest level nonviolent crimes like drug possession and shoplifting under 950 from felonies to misdemeanors. We're going to stop criminalizing moms for boosting some clothes or some diapers or some whatever they need to survive. We're not going to charge them with felonies anymore to do that. If the states, the legislative analyst has even said that the annual savings could be up to $250 million, monies that could be piped into education, health, prevention programs, the kinds of programs that really make a difference. California is already suffering from overcrowded prisons. This proposition is going to significantly reduce that population, and the savings is going to, as I said, return to the community in ways that are going to make a real difference. The list of supporters for 47 grows on a daily basis. I mean, we're talking about the right-wingers and left-wingers. Everyone is realizing the importance. Even law enforcement, especially law enforcement. Representatives like San Diego's Chief of Police William Lansdowne, San Francisco District Attorney George Gaston, Santa Clara District Attorney Jeff Rosen, and others have come on board, realizing the importance and the significance. We've even had support from the LA Chamber of Commerce, and that's no mean effort. The County Federation of Labor, and as I said before, our Los Angeles City Council has also endorsed the yes position. So today, I'm just joining with my colleagues, joining with the community, and joining with citizens who want to see a difference and who want to see a sea change in the way we allocate resources and in the way we identify those who should be behind bars. We have to make a change if we're serious about creating the kinds of community that is so important, not just in communities of color, like the area that I represent, but countywide and citywide. We have to be of one voice and vote yes on 47. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, and I too am grateful to be here today, but more important, I'm standing in solidarity and in support of the yes on Prop 47, which is long overdue. When I first came to the Assembly, and I've only been elected for about 2 years, this was not one of my top priorities. I got put on public safety. I had an opportunity to walk through many prisons up and down California, and it became my top priority. What's going on in our prison plantations is abysmal. The pipeline needs to stop. And when I first got to Sacramento, I said, we need to put in money, about $7.5 million, just to train people on how to become carpenters, electricians, and plumbers. That first year, it was wiped out of the budget overnight. The next month, it was decided it would put $750 million to incarcerate more people, not only in California, but in Arizona and Nevada. Then I said, this has got to stop. Especially when I heard the numbers. You heard some of the numbers? Just look at $50,000. There's 137,000 people that are incarcerated. If you just took 2,200 of them, where they didn't have to go back into prison and spend that money time and time again over 10 years, you save $11 billion. That's with a B. Out of the 137,000, if we save 22,000 of them, that's $110 billion that will come back to the state, that can go back into worthwhile things that we need to do. So I'm starting a new abolition. I'm an abolitionist. We need to free our people from the prison plantation that they're on right now and get them back into our community, get them back to productive citizens, back to being fathers and mothers in our communities, and more importantly, become taxpayers and productive members so we can rebuild our communities the way they used to be. That's why I'm here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Free at last.
Free at last.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Assemblyman Frederick Douglass. Well, we are pleased to have labor in the House, laborers in the House. We give Michael Green, 721 SCIU, a big round of applause for being here. We're delighted that Green is here. KW Toulis from the National Action Network is in the house. Big shout out to Pastor Toulis. We appreciate him. Give him some love. The Reverend Norman Stanley Johnson, pastor of the First New Christian Church, is here, ladies and gentlemen. A shout out to Pastor Johnson, representing the African American Voter Rep Project and other important engagements. Sydney Kamlager, representing Senator Holly Mitchell, is here. A shout out to Sydney for her presence and participation today. We're delighted that everyone is here. We now ask that one who represents the education community by virtue of being a member of the LA County Board of Education, the executive director of the Children's Defense Fund here in the state of California. Please welcome Alex Johnson to the podium.
Well, thank you today. I'm simply here to stand in solidarity with our elected officials, our community leaders, our faith leaders who are gathered to say yes on Proposition 47. And we say yes simply because it makes common sense. To take money out of our criminal justice system and put it back into education, into mental health, into rehabilitation simply makes common sense. It's the right thing to do. And if we're going to save $250 million, why don't we invest that back in early education? Why don't we invest that in K through 12 programs? Why don't we invest that in workforce training? That is simply common sense. It's a smart way of doing business. We ought to be investing on the front end rather than investing on the back end. And so that's why we are all here today, to support Proposition 47. It's a common sense solution to dismantling our cradle to prison pipeline and to making sure that our communities are sustainable and that they are whole, that we're bringing our men and women back to our communities and giving them good jobs, making sure that they are supporting their families. That is why Proposition 47 is the right thing to do from an education perspective, from an economic perspective, and from a simply faith-based moral perspective. Proposition 47 makes common sense. So on behalf of Children's Defense Fund California, on behalf of the work that we're doing in education with the LA County Board of Education, Proposition 47 is the direction that we are to go. We need to invest in the front end and not the back end. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we thank you very much for those remarks. We're going to close in an appropriate way. We're going to ask Pastor Johnson and Rabbi Klein if they would come and give benedictory remarks as we say yes on 47. We encourage you to vote on November the 4th. Defy those who suggest that this is going to be low voter turnout because there's a lack of interest. Declare that to be an untruth. Since we are here at First AME, just declare that the devil is a liar and that we, in fact, will turn out to vote because it is in our interest to do so. Proposition 47 is not simply an abstract policy consideration. This affects the quality of life for individuals and communities just like this throughout the length and breadth of this state. And certainly we want to do what Los Angeles County does is important. Now, Assemblyman Frederick Douglass, I just simply want to say it is important that the councilman came forward and took it to the city council and got the majority of those members to do so. I just wish I had the spirit of abolition in me and I would have taken it to the Board of Supervisors and got that resolution, but somebody said that they weren't having it. So instead, I decided to call a press conference. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ain't nothing like democracy.
I'd like to, before we close, proposition, down to the down to the board of supervisors
yes,
and
you
said,
did.
we have to do this. So I want to give you this shirt to wear.
Yeah.
Proposition 47.
Yeah.
Yes on Proposition 47.
Yes on 47.
So, yes
All right.
on 47.
All right, let's hold this up. All
Let's
right,
hold this up.
And Rabbi and Reverend, come on and pray for deliverance.
All right, I'll be brief. Well, thank you. My name is Rabbi Jonathan Klein with Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice. Take a moment for prayer. Supervisor Ridley Thomas said that we are going to disprove those who say the voter turnout will be low. We know that voter turnout will be high because it says in the Torah, it says in the Bible, Lo ta'amod al dam re'echa, do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. There is blood in our streets. There's blood, sweat, and tears in the lives of so many who are falsely incarcerated, for those who are not given that second chance. Our prayers go to you, God, because we know that you're a God of justice, and you will help us to make sure that all those people who just so deeply need that second chance, that third chance, will get that opportunity by passing Proposition 47. Please strengthen our resolve to turn people out to the polls, to ensure that justice is met by the state of California. We say amen.
Amen.
What is it that you require of us? Great sacrifice, thousands of rivers of oil, or the fruit of our bodies for the sin of our souls? No, you simply require that we do justice, that we love mercy, and that we walk humbly with our God and with one another, granting us a sense of what is required, that our communities might be healthier, peopled with hope, with the knowledge that opportunity will be available for them, and that we, in fact, remember the thousands of people who languish in our penal system, and that while we have the opportunity, we will do what we can, that not only will they see the light of day, but that they would know opportunity in their communities. Amen.